Molas, colorful fabric panels made by the Kuna women of Panama, are used for decorative purposes on clothing or furniture or as a wall hanging. The art of making molas consists of developing designs on pieces of different colored fabric laid on top of each other, cutting the desired pattern, then expertly stitching the edges to reveal the contrasting colors underneath. The Kuna women use this technique to make front and back panels on their traditional dress, which are among the most intricate and colorful dresses worn by Native women in the Americas. In art class, we will be creating our molas using construction paper. We will use at least 4 different colors of construction paper and will replicate the look of fabric molas made in Panama. This mola here of the dog is inspired by my own pet, Finnegan. He's a Westie. The Kuna are inspired by the animals and plants that they see around them in their everyday lives. All of these examples you're seeing are made out of construction paper. Glue and scissors were the only other tools needed in the process. The first thing we will do to make our mola is create a stencil of our subject. The subject of your mola should be the animal of your choice. I'm going to highly recommend that you sketch out different animals to see which one you want to pick. You can sketch your animals either in your sketchbook or on pieces of computer paper. When you begin drawing, start by drawing the basic shapes first. I'm starting with an oval for the body, an oval for the head, and then I began kind of with a line for the tail of my squirrel. Try to draw your animals at least as big as your hand. Each animal drawing that you do is a potential stencil for your mola project. That means if you draw it really well one time, and it's as big as your hand, and you're really happy with it, then that is what you can use for your mola assignment. To have plenty of practice though, I'm going to ask that you create 4 animal drawings before choosing the one to cut out for your stencil. See how by starting with these basic forms, I could just add and adapt those forms to create my squirrel? So for my next example, I'm taking inspiration from my own surroundings, and I'm making a blue heron because there's one I see all the time that lives in the lake behind my house. While I'm trying to describe what this animal looks like, I'm not getting too detailed. I know I'm going to have to cut this out to make it into a stencil. When I cut, I'm very careful not to cut off things like the legs or the beak. I cut around the lines, not on top of them. If anything, make things like the legs a little bit thicker than you naturally wanted them to be. Just take your time and focus on what you're doing. You wouldn't want to cut off a leg or an ear or a tail now, would you? After creating your stencil, you will need colored paper. Choose 4 different colors of paper, place your stencil on top of the one that you want your animal to be, and trace around your stencil. If you have a really hard time holding your stencil down, you could always use one piece of masking tape made into a little tape donut. I would just place that tape just in the center of your animal and just stick it down to your paper. When you finish tracing your stencil, you will then cut it out on the line. Cut carefully. This is now when it counts. Save the large scraps. You're also going to be using those scraps later, so just set them aside. The small scraps, anything smaller than an inch, definitely throw those ones away. You do not need to save those little guys. Now you can see I have a blue heron. I placed my blue heron on the different colors of paper, and I chose the one that I thought contrasted the most. For blue, the yellow contrasted more than the green or the red. Okay, so I turn my blue heron over, I place some dots of glue on the back, and then I glue it down to my yellow paper. Now I lightly draw in pencil around my blue heron, but this time I'm leaving a gap. The gap is about as wide as a pencil. As soon as I'm done drawing, I cut on that line. I save my large scraps again. You can save your scraps in your sketchbook or in your red folder. As you're doing this, a colorful halo or outline should appear around your animal. In my case, it's yellow. That outline or halo should be the same size or width throughout the line around the entire animal. Now you're basically going to repeat the steps you just took. Glue the bird down to a new color of contrasting paper, outline it, again leaving an extra space about the width of a pencil, cut on that line, and then glue it down to your last color of paper, saving your scraps once more.